Hi, I'm Jackie Brown of Jackie Brown Books, and I'm here on this cool day, the beginning of the fall, and by this beautiful beach here. We're in Coburg, clean water, beautiful, and all I can think about is the 419 by Will Ferguson. In the 419, he talks about the oil slicked beaches caused by Shell. They call the guys the Shell Man. But here I am in such a beautiful, peaceful spot, and I can't get that book out of my mind. I bet that happens to you too, eh? When you read a really great book, when you're in part of a really great story, it preoccupies you. You think of it all the time. So on this Sunday, taking a walk with my children, I'm thinking of the 419. And we are talking about a book that has really inspired me and has got me interested in a cause, and how that demonstrates the power of stories. Here's the book, 419 by Will Ferguson, book club copy. I read it as part of a book club that I belong to. What's so amazing about this book club is it's kind of random, the books that happen, and they're all been fantastic. But I've wanted to read this book for quite a long time. It came out in 2011, 2012, but it won the 2012 Giller Prize, which is one of the biggest ones in Canada, or one of the most prestigious ones, we'll say, in Canada for literature. And so Will Ferguson won that for this book in 2012. It's a story it's like four stories all woven together. There's Laura, whose father has died by suicide. And they find out that he did it after losing a lot of money because he was scammed by Nigerian scammers. Those ones where someone says, oh, I'm a prince and I need to get my money out, and they manipulate people such that they end up giving away lots and lots of money. One of the stories is Winston, the scammer, who feels he's innocent. He's proud of that he's good at it, but then he gets caught up in something larger than himself. There's that story about the Nigerian mafia. And through Laura, you get the human impact of the scheming so far away. You also have the story of this beautiful girl, Amina, who's traveling and to escape something across Nigeria. All she's got is this water can that she carries on her head, and she's just traveling, trying to survive. And finally, we have Nmandi. His family is in a very remote part of the Niger Delta, but the search for oil gets to his village eventually. And so we learn about the impacts of it through what happens to Nmandi and his family and his community and the wider community. So that's the part of the story that really, really struck me, because for one thing, I had heard about by watching the Vice video some time ago. I looked it up, that it was in 2013 that they did an original Vice video, and they've done a more recent one in 2018 or 2019. So in that particular story, you have the Delta region being poisoned by Shell, Exxon, the big oil companies, because they can get away with it. They don't have to have the oil protections that they have here. And the protests of the people whose land is being ruined take the form of sabotaging the pipes, as well, and also thieves go to steal the oil so they can sell them back. So all these things contribute to the damage there. A couple years ago, I attended a lecture. It was by the author of Brown, another book that won lots of awards and stuff, and that was well received in 2016 this time. His name was Kamal Al-Solali. I hope I've said his name. Solali, that's his surname. I hope I've said that correctly. And it was a fantastic lecture. And what I remember the most is how he said that no one really cares about statistics, 36% of this or 36% of people do this or that. What they care about is the stories behind the statistics. And that's what Will has done so well here. He's made this story human. You care about the villagers. You care about the Nmandi and Amina. And because of that, you really get, in a different way, the impact on people of this real environmental damage. So as you know, here, when they find oil on your land, you become an immediate millionaire. Black, you know, what's it called? Black gold or something, you know, because you own the land, you own the oil. But there, when they discovered oil in the lands of the people on the Niger Delta, it made them instantly poisoned and poor. The pollution caused, you know, it poisoned the groundwater. It, you know, coated the fish in the rivers, so it damaged the food. It brought people in, so that there was clear cutting of the forests. The rain there irritated the soil. I mean, irritated the skin. The devastation was all over. It increased the rate of infant mortality, and of course, it would increase the rates of other kind of diseases by bringing them into that area. It created more overcrowding, all kinds of things as a result of our use of oil. And so seeing it through what happened to this particular family, this fictionalized family, but describing in Will's book, it's like, it feels like he traveled across the whole area. The details were so grand, but in his acknowledgments, he talks about how he got the information and his level of research and how he presented the information in the book, so it doesn't feel like it's just research put in, or like you're reading an academic story. You're reading a real page turner about a real crisis involving fictional characters. But it got me. That's the power of stories, that they can take your whatever you want to do a lot further than an academic paper, a news report, even this reports, these incredibly well done documentaries done by Vice. This has now got me so that I, you know, now that I know, what do? I can't do nothing about that issue anymore. This book is making me a supporter of the people in that area. So I'm researching what I can do from here to help with the situation over there. Even if one of the things is telling you to read this book, you know, I haven't, it's not a spoiler for me to tell you about some of the backdrop of what happens, because I haven't told you what happens to the characters. But just know that this story is really impactful, and it made me do stuff, including the research. Like, I watched this video just now, and it showed the presenters, you know, on a little raft or something, and they're going through, you know, these rivers, and on both banks, they're deforested. There's like denuded mangrove trees. So you see the roots, the blackened roots, and in the black water, there's no leaves on these trees. You know, parts of it look like it has burnt, and they go on for miles and miles and miles. At one point, they come across this barge, and the barge is humongous. It's filled with millions of liters of oil. And the presenter states that you can go on it and take a long walk on one of these barges. And this guy who was stealing, he's illegally collecting the oil to sell back, because you know, there were no jobs for the Africans there. They weren't making any money off their own natural resource. So they were part of the problem of pollution in that area. He had 7 of those. He employed thousands of people. So, you know, and that's, so like, it's such a complicated issue, but just brought human for me through Will's book. So I thank him for that. I'd love to know what kind of books like really woke your eyes, or opened your eyes about an issue that you'd heard about and you've been concerned about, but really not to the level you were once you read a book which presented statistics in the context of the real stories, or, you know, fictionalized stories about how the issue affects real people. I'd love to hear. So if you would comment below, I would love to hear if you've read a book that affected you as strongly as this book, Will Ferguson's 419, has affected me. Thank you for watching.